Greetings, everybody. Thank you for coming in. Come on in. Come on in. First, I want to say happy birthday, KB. I see you turning up out there. Happy birthday. Happy born day. Happy Earth Day. May you have many, many more. Thank you for being such a wonderful example, um, being a good influence, setting a great example, and, just being approachable, transparent. You're such a great guy, and we love you. We love you, big guy. So be safe out there. Have a great time. Turn up. Let's go. Let's go. Yes. Hey, Bolo. Yes, get you some rest. Thank you for stopping through. It's always a pleasure to see your name and your avatar and feel your presence. I love you too, baby. Love you back. Love you back. Thank you for being here. Get you some sweet dreams. The time change threw me today, y'all. Threw me completely off. I really felt that hour difference. The sun actually woke me up this morning. And I was not happy about it because I don't get to sleep in during the week. So yeah, that part. But come on in, everybody. Hey, Joy, Joy, what's going on, Miss CC? Thank you for being here. I see Vince's name there, but I don't know if he's in the chat. If you are, salute to you. Thank y'all for being here. So we're gonna dive right in because I know these YouTube streets stay hot anymore. They stay popping. So we gotta get on in and get on out. But I was encouraged to do a part two to my last live, which was titled Ungrateful Women. We aren't all like this, right? So this one is going to be an extension of that, but also I am going to throw into the mix, a perspective from men. We can't leave the brothers out because this is really been about the brothers from the beginning, even though we're pointing out some behaviors of the women, shedding some light and some context to, what could be going on in our society with the current relationship game, right? So, yeah, so that's where we're at with everything. And hey, Miss Strawberry Shortcake, greetings, peace and blessings to everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. So there is the last, the part one video. We showed some video clips of variety, right? And there were, I don't know if they were skits. I tried to pick and choose some videos that seemed to be authentic, but it's hard to tell anymore because people's acting skills are so refined, especially when you're making a living doing it. You get good at it. And people seem to videotape everything. And the George Floyd incident really gave me a harsh reality as to how comfortable people are sitting back and, putting everything on camera. Instead of intervening or being proactive in some other type of way. When you got 1,000 cameras, sometimes it just seems like the world that I'm living in, and I can only speak for me, doesn't seem real. It just seems so fake anymore, and you can't, it's hard to separate the two, and I don't like that. But like I said, I tried to pick some videos or some video references that seem to reek with authenticity instead of just, doing it for views and likes. So one of the videos that I chose had the perspective of a brother, and he brought up a really, really good point. And his perspective included the fact, because the young lady kind of pushed back on him when he said that social media had ruined relationships and our perspective of what a healthy relationship looked like. said, "Well, do you even know what a real woman is?" And he told her. He said it's hard to tell because a lot of the real women seem to look and dress the same as their counterparts that aren't as authentic. And so, without conversation and going past the surface of the exterior, it's hard to tell. You can't really tell the difference. And so, one of my talking points of the commentary was, depending on the setting. Like if you're in a club, you're in a lounge, you got loud music going on, it's a social setting, you got a bunch of girlfriends sitting around kiki and kaka with each other. Men aren't going to be as apt to approach you to do all the digging to try to find out which one of the crew, if any, because they all look alike, they all resemble each other, which ones are real or potential mates, right? Or potential, good girlfriends. So there's a lot of layers to these relationships that are loosely and commonly titled as modern relationships, modern women, modern men. Modern, the word modern is more applicable and more used often with women than I find with men. For I don't know what that reason is, and I don't really know the reasoning behind it, but it is what it is, right? And so um, that leads me to the first video reference of the day is in another clip. There are two young ladies they're very attractive, they're young, but they're provocatively dressed. And the commentary or the interviewer is asking them questions. It's a brief clip, but it definitely, in my opinion, promotes conversation, right? And it promotes some dialogue when it comes down to us trying to figure out why men aren't really pursuing women in these days. And if they are, they're not really looking toward pursuing them from a relationship or a serious standpoint. So just give me a moment and we'll go ahead and get right into it. Once the video starts, if you don't mind putting a 1 in the chat if the volume is good on it, and a 2 if you can't hear it or if it's too low, I would be fully appreciated because I've got a couple of videos in addition to this one, and I want to make sure that it's easily heard and distinguished.
What's your age?
26. 26.
Has dating gotten easier as you gotten older?
Yes. Depends.
Well, why do you feel that way?
I think because as you get older, you start to know what you want or what you're looking for. As opposed to when you're young, you kind of just date whoever.
You feel like you have higher standards?
Yeah, I think it comes with age.
And what does it depend on for you?
Well, I agree with everything that she said, but yeah, just in general, I feel like people are not ready for commitment and to put in the work, so it's harder to find like someone that's genuine.
And that's been your experience most of the time.
100%.
So the guys that you feel are never ready to commit to you, are these men that you already sleep with?
I'm not talking to anyone. I'm done.
The ones in the past,
What about them?
have you slept with them before?
Yeah.
Do you think that played a part in why they didn't commit to you?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, y'all. Whew, okay, I'm sorry, y'all. I couldn't help myself. So there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, Thank you for the response. So I'm glad the audio's good. Salute to Double Speaks. I see you in the house. Pastor, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. Joy is in the house. Peace and blessings to all of y'all. Oliver Green Apartments in the house. Just saying thank you for coming through. It's always a pleasure. Y'all, I couldn't restrain myself. So first of all, they don't need to dress like this. Now these are just so fair use YouTube. These are my personal opinions and my commentary and reaction to these video references that will be played and that are being played. But I kind of want to go back. This is kind of because there are like several topics that I kind of want to address in this small video clip. But the first one I want to kind of bring some, and I'm sure I don't have to, but I just want to bring some light to, is look at all of the people driving by, particularly the men that are looking at these ladies while they're behind the wheels of vehicles, okay, maneuvering and driving these vehicles. Now, granted, they're going slowly, there's a lot of traffic. However, that is very telling. And these young ladies had to know, and that's why they dress the way that they dress, so that they can attract, views and likes in like a realistic and not on a social media platform but in real life type of situation. So I'm just going to rewind this just a little bit more. I'm really going to try not to laugh this time, but I have to laugh because sometimes it gets to be so sad and so discouraging, that we have come as a society full of women to a point to where she can't even honestly answer this man's question. So she's saying, no, I haven't slept with her. I'm not sleeping with anybody anymore. So he's saying, what have you? Yes. Do you think that that's one of the reasons why they haven't committed? She said, I don't know. How is it that you haven't figured this out by now? Because from the way that you're dressed, it looks like you have the potential to have a high body count, right? So, yeah, so I'm just going to rewind this just a little bit. Hey, Miss Yo. So, for the people that are coming in, we're just really getting started. I was kind of giving context from the last video and making reference to the gentleman on one of the video clips that was saying that there are women that get together and they carry themselves and dress a certain way to where you can't distinguish one from the other. And so if there are women that have substance or that, is more than just a big butt and a pretty face, it's hard to tell based off of first appearances or, first impressions, unless you actually get to engage in conversation, which a lot of the times, if you're in a social setting, it really doesn't present that kind of an ideal opportunity to do so, right? So we're just kind of, this clip is a segue for me on that level, because these young ladies really don't have the need to dress like this in order to gain attention. But here we are. And so, yeah, I look at the dude on the moped. He really need to be careful because he ain't got no protection if he run into something. But there are several people that will ride by, and all of the men are going to take second and third looks. And so I'm sure that they're aware of it because they came out the house like that. But I digress. Here we go.
I think it comes with age.
Okay. And what does it depend on?
I think because as you get older, you start to know what you want or what you're looking for, as opposed to when you're young, you kind of just date whoever.
You feel like you have higher standards?
Yeah, I think it comes with age.
Okay. And what does it depend on for you?
Well, I agree with everything that she said, but yeah, just in general, I feel like people are not ready for commitment and to put in the work, so it's harder to find like someone that's genuine.
And that's been your experience most of the time.
100%.
So the guys that you feel are never ready to commit to you, are these men that you already sleep with?
I'm not talking to anyone. I'm done.
But the ones in the past.
What about them?
She's done, but she's ready. She looks like she's ready to strip for somebody, but she's done. So why are we out here dressed like this? That's just my question. And you're on a street curb dressed like this, even though there's a microphone in your face, your presentation is saying something totally different, in my opinion. But that's just me, right? That's just me. That's how we're gonna leave it.
Have you slept with them before?
Yeah.
Do you think that that played a part in why they didn't commit to you?
I don't know. I don't think that that should play a part in it.
But why would a man give you the benefits of the relationship if he's already experienced everything that you have to offer?
Because he wants to be with me, genuinely.
Would you rather?
So why would he want to be with you genuinely is my question. What is the point? What do you have to offer him that a thousand other young ladies in your age realm does not? I'm confused on that. And see, that's one of the issues that I feel like is really, we're not like living in a real world where females think that their, their voluptuous shapes, maybe the clothes that they wear, their ability to apply makeup to enhance their beauty and fool somebody or not, or just their presence, the fact that they just merely exist, right, is enough to not just lure a man, but to have him open his heart, his pocket, his life, and everything that goes with those to you, just because you are existing and you were born. I don't understand why these women and these females really feel so entitled that they have to bring absolutely nothing to the table, that they can talk to people the way that they want to, they can treat people the way that they want to, and no matter what decisions they make, good or bad, they're supposed to be accepted just the way that they are, without any accountability, without any responsibilities. There was a video in my last, or a reference in my last live that stated the young lady. So the gentleman asked her, "Well, how much? What is the income bracket for the man that you'll date?" She said 100, at least 100,000. He said, "Well, how much do you make?" She said that's irrelevant. That has nothing to do with it. So he was like, "Well, that man does not have any, he doesn't get to benefit from." She's like, "That's none of his business." But she really felt that way, and a lot of young ladies do. It's like, what's his is mine and what's mine is mine. In what world are we living in, y'all? Okay, so let me just take a moment to welcome in people that are rolling in. Thank you for being here. Ernest, thank you. Julia Graham, who else we got? What's that, Miss Joy Joy? Hey, Andre, how are you? Thank you for being here. I appreciate y'all. Writers for Life. Yes, peace and blessings to everybody. Thank you. So, I just, I'm going to definitely expound on some more commentary. Got a couple of more video references, very short clips that can stimulate conversation and dialogue. But I also want to drop the link for anyone that is, comfortable enough to come up and let's have a discussion. Because I also, once, I'm through, because I spent my entire last video really going in on the females. But I do want to actually balance this out, because in order for the females to treat men like they treat them and get away with it, there has to be a level of tolerance and acceptance for them to be able to exhibit that type of behavior and think that it's okay. So if it's not okay for one man, then it will be okay for another man, right? So Yeah, I just don't understand. I really, y'all, I really don't understand the mindset of, because me growing up, when I was in high school, there was actually a market for smart females. And if you were smart and attractive, that was like hitting the jackpot for most young men. And I don't hear that too much anymore. I don't get that impression, that that's important. And a lot of times, like with the males, I hear females calling men that are smart, intelligent, and they can be handsome, but if they're not sports jocks, or they're not cool, or they're not within the in crowd, or they're not bad boys, quote unquote, then they're corny. But then you see those same women hit the wall, so to speak, in their 40s and 50s, and now they're craving and they're seeking out those corny men. But those corny men have been identified and snatched up by good women that knew value when they saw it, right? So I just, it's like, it's a little bit too late now. What do you have to offer? And you got typically more life behind you than you have ahead of you. And so, where do you go from here? And why would a man want to wife you or be with you? And you've spent a lot of your formidable years, and they're gone already. So, I don't know. That's just a question for me. So, Miss Joy Joy, um, what happened to your comment? Uh oh. I hope I didn't delete it. Okay. Do they consider that a man could possibly think that they are loose women by how they're dressed? Joy, Joy, this is the thing for me. I don't think that that's the. I think that that is given, but it's so common and acceptable. Like the attire that these young ladies have on in this video, 20 years ago, uh, or maybe even 10, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. They're going to be looked at as straight streetwalkers, or they're soliciting, right? And that's just, I'm not being funny, that's just how it is. You can't get this clothing that they're wearing in a regular mall store, or I don't know about ordering it off of Amazon, because I don't seek this type of clothing, so I don't really know what's available. But I don't you just don't see everyday females walking around dressed like this. There are special boutiques and special stores, and that sell these types of garments, that you kind of have to know where to go, seek out, or get advice from people in order to seek out this type of clothing. This is not your everyday wear, right? This is like stripper wear, or like I said, you're soliciting something, you're selling something, you're marketing something. And that's usually you, right? When you come out of the house like this. So I'm sure that they're fully aware of it. But what I think is happening, and I'm not saying every situation or every instance, yes, Julia Graham, they do look like streetwalkers to most of us, that have some type of moral compass, or that have some life up under our belts. Because though their generation may look at this as being acceptable or fly or the norm, a lot of us, other people don't, right? And so, what I think is really going on here too is that the moral compass is broken. there is there really is a lack of the paternal influence in the home, because daddies that care about their daughters and that are present and that are present in their lives to help guide them, raise them, rear them in the right direction, this would not be acceptable behavior. This would not be an acceptable code of dress or conduct, because to me, they go hand in hand. Your walk changes based off of what you wear. Just like when men sag, they can't walk with their legs closed. They have to walk with their legs spread open because of the garments that they have on, and to prevent the pants from hitting the damn ground, right? So this doesn't it applies in this aspect too with these females. But what I think is going on is that there's such a lack of accountability altogether for anything. Everything goes. You look at the lyrics and the rap music or the context of the music that we listen to. If it's not talking about money, death, sex, or drugs, then it's not quality music. We don't really listen to instrumentals anymore. I particularly love instrumentals because there are most of the greatest songs out there, or the catchiest songs out there, have the best beats, right? Or the best music in the background. So if I can just take the lyrics out of it and then listen to the music, then that separates the two for me. But we don't value that anymore. We just don't, we're not able to separate, um, and really kind of put everything in its place or its category. And so everything is skewed together. And females really nowadays, we don't really, not we meaning me, but I'm just saying like collectively, especially in the younger generation, they're not really having a lot of additional things to offer outside of your shape, your figure, what you wear, your hair, your makeup, all of these superficial things that are going to fade with time and age. Nothing is discreet anymore. Everything is just out in the open, and it's supposed to be acceptable. Andre W. said it's hard out here. Most women who I approached mostly stereotype me. I also wear gym clothes mostly for errands, and at times they'll say I'm broke. They love pocket checking. Let me tell you something, and I'm glad you do that. And that's wise, because if you look like money, then a lot of times the men will literally get set up, or they'll get targeted. You literally have a target on your back. So no matter what your financial portfolio looks like, that the rich and the elite, they've mastered it. You're not able to tell how much they're worth by what they drive, or what they walk around wearing, or they don't wear $1,200 sneakers. I mean, to me, I think that that's smart. It's sad because, but it also, Andre, in my opinion, it also separates. Hopefully you are able to see, whether you get approached by them or you approach them or not, that there's still a distinction somewhere between different classes of women, right? So at least that's what I'm hoping. Yep, exactly. Said you learn that in your early 20s. There are some men out here. I look at these old Uncle L's and these grandpappies out here, with dentures in their mouth, and they still haven't learned it. They think that they're supposed to wear what they're worth, and then they wonder, why they're treated the way that they're treated, and that they're only good for a bag. And that's what you're marketing. That's what you're displaying. That's where we are with all of this. Okay. So, yes, when it comes to these young ladies, this is, I don't know. Um, Presentation means a lot. You can't have a man that's going to take you seriously or want to wife you when he can't even, depend on you to be presentable or to distinguish yourself from being with somebody or being single. Your dress is the same, the way you carry yourself is the same. What's the point? No man is going to consider your relationship sacred if the same thing that strangers are seeing, he's seeing. It just doesn't, it's out of order, right? So that's where I'm at with it. So we're going to go to the next. It's a short video, and to me this is definitely a conversation. This is good for conversation and dialogue, and it's thought provoking, in my opinion. So here we go.
This before, but that men feel like women are like inherently ungrateful.
True story. And I don't believe that women do it on purpose. I believe it's embedded in their DNA and their makeup. And this is why you hear most women say, I'll never settle. You will never hear a man say he will or he won't settle. But you hear women say it because once you give a woman something, she always want more. Is this more? Can I have more? Once you start talking to a woman, taking her out on dates, what are we? She wants more. She wants a relationship. 2-3 years down the line, where's my ring? She wants marriage. 2 3 years in marriage, where's my baby? She always want more, and this is why most relationships and or marriages don't work, because once you get to marriage, and some people don't even get that far, there's no more to want. So then they're going to break up with you, relationship, or they're going to divorce you, marriage, because there's no more to get, and go start over with somebody else and start getting more from them. Ungrateful.
So I thought that that was a very interesting take on the subject. So this young lady started the conversation off by saying that she feels like it's inherent, and the brother pretty much co-signed on it, and he explained why. That women never seem to be satisfied and that they always want more. So as soon as they achieve whatever objective that is right before them, then they're setting another one and then another one, and that eventually it leads to divorce. I don't know if I 100% agree with that. I think that everything is subjective depending on the person and the circumstances. I can speak for me. I don't operate like that. And I also am the type of woman where I provide for myself. So, in my mind, anything that I get or obtain from a man is a bonus. Now, collectively, I'm not seeing that as a whole we think like that. There's a sense of entitlement that is really baffling to me, and there's many more women that should be feel that that feel that way, that should not be feeling that way or thinking along those lines. But I don't want to necessarily be so easy to excuse it as that being something that is innate within us and that it goes with the territory, because I can't relate to that. And I'm just keeping it a buck about that. I can't relate to never being satisfied. I definitely have, I'm goal oriented and I'm vision focused, but that's something within myself that has nothing to do with looking at it from a relationship perspective or applying that to a man and putting that burden and that responsibility and that weight on his shoulders, right? So I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but I would love to hear, because I'm going to drop the link here in a little bit, but I wanted to kind of just give some different contexts and perspectives, because you can't, there's no way you're going to be able, when it comes to relationships, even if you separate the man and the woman and you isolate each gender and you are trying to figure out where, how we got to where we are as a collective on a male or a female side of the spectrum, it's still multi-layered. It's still, like I said, subjective. There are so many different possibilities and reasons why people behave the way that they do. And I personally think that experience, teaching, upbringing, the type of foundation or lack thereof that has been laid for us, definitely plays a huge part in our approach and our behavior to relationships and to ourselves, our viewpoint of who we are and how we got to be who we are. And so, again, this video clip was stating that basically, the thought is that this is inherent, that women are born with this type of mindset, or I'm sorry, inherently, that is, they're born with it in their DNA, and it just goes with the territory of being a woman. And I don't know, I beg to differ a bit on that, but I can only speak from my perspective on that because evidently it was enough. It made enough of an impression that a man and a woman and the people in the comments all kind of chimed in and gave their viewpoints on it. So it's definitely a topic worth discussing. So there's one more video that I would like to show. Oh, did I close the tab? Give me 1 second, y'all. I think I closed the tab. Okay, so I'm going to put up an overlay And then there's an audio on this one video that I don't want to show the actual video just in case of copyrights, but the audio I do want to definitely kind of chime in on. So if you can just give me a second. Okay, so to set the stage here, there's a young lady on Valentine's Day. Her boyfriend adorned the entire home with rose petals, roses, presents on the bed. I don't know if he cooked a meal or not. That doesn't show, but she's very ungrateful and very unappreciative on what he's doing in his opinion, right? And so he's responding to that and he's frustrated. And that's what really bothers me about because she seemed very sincere in asking that question. She was like, "You would be happy if you were a girl and you got all of this?" She sounds dumb, in my opinion. She sounds totally unaware and totally so self-involved and such a narcissist about the whole situation and about herself that she can't even possibly think outside of her thought process and how her brain is working, and it is just bewildering to me. So let's continue. Okay, so you couldn't hear the video? Oh no. Okay, at all? I don't know why. Okay, so basically the young lady again was uh being adorned on Valentine's Day with all these different gifts that her boyfriend could afford and that he thought she would appreciate. She did not. She made a comment, would you like it if you got all of this and you were a girl? He said, absolutely. I would be grateful. I would be appreciative. And so he's frustrated. So the whole point of the video is, first of all, again, and I mentioned this earlier, as you coming into the relationship, you are a female. What makes you so privy to just being a female and feeling like you're entitled to whatever this man can give you? Or what about who you are? What separates you from other women, right? Why should he choose you to wife, to spend the rest of his life with, to possibly procreate and build a family with? Marriage is more of a business arrangement, or should be more, in my opinion, of a business arrangement than anything else. But you have to be able to trust your business partner. So what would make me want to invest in you being a man into you as a woman, as to wanting to bond myself with you for life in this business arrangement that's laced in love and friendship, right? And so that also leads me to the male side of, why is it that some men can actually be attracted to toxic relationships, not have high standards, which leads them to become involved in these types of relationships. There are some men that feel like, okay, well, I'm doing everything right, and she still left me. So now, woe is me. But my thing is this: why complain if she left you, right? Why isn't it looking, why aren't you able to look at it as a blessing, the fact that she left you? Because a lot of times God will remove people, places, and things out of our lives that don't serve our purpose or don't align with God's purpose for our lives. So a lot of times, even if that's not your line of thinking, you still have to be objective enough to say, well, there's a reason behind all of this. So if she left me, yeah, it may hurt in the short run, but if she stays, it's going to destroy me in the long run. And I don't just mean on a superficial or an outside level. I'm talking about eroding at self-confidence, at your manhood. You know, women can be emasculating, especially if they're not the right one, because usually a woman's biggest weapon is her tongue, and we learn how to use that very well. And since we can't basically combat a man on a level, on an even level playing ground, on a physical, then we use the next best thing. And so we have mastered that overall, that and manipulation. So let's keep it a buck and let's keep it above ground, right? And so just me presenting that, men have to really get past the big butt and the smile, or whatever the external features that attracted you to this person. And we definitely have to start digging at core values, at upbringing. That's why it back in the day, and it really, I think we've lost so much by losing this practice of, before you get married, people should be able to take you home and get approval from the families, because there's things that parents can see in a potential mate that you can't possibly see, right? And so we have lost that. And I know I kind of went left on that, but that's just something I definitely wanted to include into that, because whether, I'm not saying that it's necessarily okay for all parents to pick your spouse, but some input, even if they gave you some honest feedback, or they ascertained and was able to see maybe characteristic, or even just one characteristic that could be long-term damaging, that you failed to see. And then you get with this person, and now 10, 15 years down the road, you ended up getting a divorce. Now you've got children. Now you have to rebuild your whole life over again. Now you have to start from scratch. And now you're older. Now your children have gone through things that they could have been, that could have been avoided had you vetted that person, had they vetted you, had the 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 marriage, the potential marriage or the potential relationship been vetted by people outside, even if it's a pastor, a preacher, a clergy member, whatever your belief system involves. There should be somebody that does not have a dog in the fight from the outside looking in, that also has your best interests at heart, that can tell you the truth about what they see. Now, whether you receive that in love and in good faith or not, that is up to you. But you know what, to me, it's better to do it that way than to just go off of your own understanding, because most of the time we're going off of physical attraction, and then everything else comes behind that, and that's so backwards. But because we're physical creatures, it's normal to us, it's natural, right? But it doesn't necessarily yield the best outcome when it comes to relationships. So, yes. Hey, Cortez, thank you for coming in. Salute to you. Peace and blessings, Miss Kodak Black. Yes, thank you for being here. So, um, another thing that comes along with me kind of like holding men's feet to the fire and not putting all of the blame necessarily on women and exhibiting some tough love is asking and posing the question, what was it that was within you that made you tolerate and accept the behavior from an ungrateful woman? Right? What, there had to be something. And especially if you stayed and you endured that for any extended amount of time, whether it was hoping she would change, there has to be something within you that put you in a mind frame that either you could change her, or that maybe you didn't deserve better, or maybe you didn't know how to approach and look for better. But there has to be something that starts within you to allow you to even be put in a position to tolerate that kind of unappreciative behavior, right? And so these are questions that we definitely want to ask ourselves, as far as men. And when we're looking and seeking out a mate, the first thing, and I'm just going to reiterate this, is that we have to look past the surface, you guys. We have to, and now with social media, um, promoting perfection where there is none. That's why, you've got so many women and the multi-billion-dollar industry of the BBLs and the plastic surgery and the Botox and everything that modifies your natural look, and you accepting yourself for who you are, and where you are and how you present yourself. We just have to, that speaks for itself. So women aren't often comfortable with themselves, but then now they're such a dime a dozen. I remember when BBLs were first starting to pop, and they were first starting to be marketed. Now it goes with the territory of being an IG model. So if you don't have a BBL, if you don't have some plastic surgery, and the doctor's name that performed these procedures on you aren't visibly known and named, then you're nobody. And that is so detrimental and so ass backwards, in my opinion, as to what is required in order for you to seek out a mate. And then we have to ask ourselves too, men, is what is my objective in being able to select a mate? What is the long-term vision? What is the long-term desired outcome? And I think if we actually take a step back and really process that question and be honest with ourselves, and that can go for the women just as well as the men. So I'm not just isolating it to the men on this topic, but I think our vision and our approach will shift and we will start to look at things from a different angle that affect us long term, instead of just, fulfilling our fleshly desires for that moment, and then hoping that it works out when it's all said and done. Because it really is true that beauty fades physically, but when that's all you have, then when that goes, the relationship definitely, I don't even think the relationship is going to last till that point, because you have beautiful women that are being left all of the time because they're intolerable. But just for the sake of conversation, that will be the time. If their beauty starts to fade and they have nothing else to offer, and they haven't added anything to the relationship, there has been no reciprocity, no balance, everybody understanding their role, then what's the point? What's the point at this time, right? So yeah, there's only one other thing, and then I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to drop the link now. But then there's one other point that I do want to make. In regards to men. And a good question is, or actually, I want to make a statement. There's always a blessing to be able to look at out of any experience. So say that you get into, because it happens every day, all day. So in a real world, men will pick toxic relationships, or a toxic woman that creates a toxic environment in the relationship. And then at some point he'll say, enough is enough, and I'm ready to just depart, and I'm ready to go. Right. And so once that happens, instead of being the victim, and instead we have to look at the positive aspect and the positive side of what the new beginning can look like. And what have you learned? What wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and how can I be a better version of myself as a result of this relationship not working out? What have I learned? How can I transfer this to somebody else, so maybe somebody else doesn't have to go through this experience that I chose to go through for whatever the reasons were initially, right? And so with that being said, thank you. I've got Miss Yo Thoughts in the back. I'm bringing up to the stage, and Leroy Gaines. Thank y'all for being here. Yes, absolutely. Hey, Miss Yo, thank you for
Hello,
coming.
everyone. Thank you for having me, Miss Akimi.
Yes.
And hello, everyone. Hello, Leroy. How are you?
Hello. Very well, thank you. Yourself?
Good, thank you.
All right. So I would like to open up the floor, and we'll go ahead and start with Mr. Leroy, if that's okay.
Okay.
That's perfect. I'm going to mute my mic.
Okay.
So just going on to the point that you were last saying there about a relationship not working and then trying to gain experience from what didn't work. What do you mean by this? What do you mean a relationship not working out? Does that mean that you've left?
Yes. Well, that was my example that I used. It could mean a plethora of things, but I would like to, just for the sake of conversation, say ultimately it didn't work out, and each person went their each individual way.
Okay, but then that's an agreement. So in my eyes, when you make an agreement and enter into a marriage, let's say, that's through thick and thin.
Yep.
So I don't understand what do you mean by didn't work out. You chose to end it. It would have worked if you worked at it, but you chose to end it.
Yeah. Now, okay. So for clarity and context, we can go, because I was speaking from just a relationship aspect, but if you want to speak from it from a marriage, that changes the conversation. Absolutely, because it is an agreement. It's a contractual agreement, and it's supposed to be for life through thick and thin, and you're supposed to just make it work. Now, if we're speaking of it from a marriage standpoint, it still takes two, right? So the husband or the wife, either or, can actually be willing to still work on the marriage and keep it together, and work through whatever issues they have, and then the other party can say, no, I don't want to invest in it anymore. So I don't know really kind of, what kind of other clarity you may need, and where you might be, what point or talking point you might be wanting to kind of engage in on, but hopefully that can kind of clear maybe some of the ambiguity up.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That makes a lot more sense.
Mhm.
So, I'd love to know what your thoughts on then. In what way should we handle this societally? So, say one partner would like to leave and the other would not. What way should we handle that in society?
Well, it's see, I can't really give a one size fits all answer
You
to
can
that.
speak in generalities, though.
Okay, yes, I can. Absolutely. Well, one of an option could be is see, like if you have children, I think or well, okay, let me take that back. If you have a family, so that could mean with or without children, looking for some type of therapy, seeking some type of therapy, going to, like I said, a clergyman, whatever your belief system entails.
Yes.
Looking for an outside person that is qualified and that doesn't have, like I said earlier, a dog in the fight, a specific dog in the fight,
Hmm.
to be able to give an objective viewpoint of both individuals, right? Through their stories, through their perspective of that relationship, through their personal experience and testimony, and just trying to exhaust the different resources that may be available to them in order to try to come to a common ground that the marriage or the union will be worth fighting for. It's not going to be guaranteed because, again, you got two individuals that kind of need to really agree and to be willing to invest in further into that relationship. But a lot of times in the real world that we live in, when one of the parties check out, it's really hard for that marriage to survive.
Yeah. Well, I agree with almost everything you said, to be quite honest with you. Very well spoken as well. Um, I, I'd like to know your thoughts then on the church being more involved in relationships. Do you think that would be a good or bad thing?
Okay, so I'm speaking, like you said, from a generalized point of view. If
Of
you're
course.
asking me for a personal point of view,
Both.
okay, so generalized, like I said, if that involves your belief system, I think it's subjective. It's subjective to the couple. And a lot of the background and the foundation of how they got together and their marriage came to be plays a part in that well. Also, so if you met in a church and if you went to marriage counseling possibly before that, or if you leaned on the understanding of the clergy people inside of that church or that spiritual institution that you were in, then that may be an option for you. It just kind of depends on what the foundation of the marriage was set upon when they got together, in my opinion. Now, as
I
far
think, though, that even if it was a secular relationship to start off with, they could still greatly benefit from the foundation of being surrounded in a Christian community.
now, I agree with that to an extent. I personally, I'm a spiritual person, right? So I have been through it. I'm not going to really kind of elaborate and make this
Of course.
into a Christian or a spiritual conversation for the sake of the topic. But, like I said, I'm not willing to really speak on everybody else's personal experience and act like I know how to speak from everybody else's personal experience because everyone has their own set of belief systems. As for me, like I said, I am a spiritual person. I do believe in a power higher than myself. And whoever I am with in a relationship, marriage, et cetera, we have to be bonded in that area and have the same type of like minds and vision in that aspect.
Okay. Yeah. Fair. So, I've obviously come to this quite late. What sort of topics are we moving forward with? Is it the prompt? What responsibility do men accept, if any?
Well, I did a live. This is a part two to a two video um, sequence that I've done, and the first one was primarily speaking on ungrateful females, ungrateful women in relationships, and some of the things, showing examples of them being ungrateful and just shining light on the problem of the quote unquote modern relationship and modern the viewpoints of modern women in the upcoming generation and their viewpoints or lack thereof, in a beneficial marriage or a beneficial union, relationship, any of that, right?
Yeah.
And so this is kind of a segue, and I just wanted to add. So I started out the live, actually expounding on that even further. And so now we're just saying, okay, now to balance out the conversation, men should also be as responsible as women, picking and allowing the toxicity in the relationships of trying to please ungrateful women and not to become victimized. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, so in regards to that, I think it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm not sure how much you know about what's known as like the red pill scene. It's men who are teaching other men essentially to be degenerate, and it very much feeds into the women lowering their standards considerably. And I think that's causing a lot of the issues that you were able to raise there. Do you know much about this?
Um, I'm familiar with it. Can I like initiate a deep bound conversation about it and lead in it? No.
No. No, I only asked because I think it's one of the main contributors to a lot of the issues that you were raising.
Mhm.
Although I do believe a lot of these issues originally came from feminism. I think
Mhm.
it's feminist ideals that have brought this degeneracy on, and
Yes.
it's essentially lowered the moral standards for both the sexes. And now instead of complementing one another, we're actually working against one another.
Yes, I agree with that. Absolutely. And I wanted to reiterate, and I did try to give clarity that this is multi-layered. That I think that um, the relationship deteriorating and the core family being disseminated over time has definitely been an effort, from and systematic, in my opinion, over the years, and it's been very successful. But it also has come from many different directions, from the male and the female perspective. And that's why I feel like it's been so successful, is because we all have to take responsibility, whether you're male or female, as to how we got here, and not just how we got here, but once we recognize that this is not working, what can we do as far as being solution oriented in order to rectify and bring back the cohesiveness of the core family.
So
But
yeah, so go ahead.
yeah, can I just Miss Yo has been very patient, and I want to make it a dialogue. So I would love to hear also, if you could just hold on for a second and just hear what she's got to contribute to the conversation, and then we can definitely proceed. Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay, so I'm just absorbing all of this stuff. You said a whole lot in the beginning of this video, Mr. Kimmy. It's like a lot of different layers, a lot of different topics or subjects, and it was just a lot. So, if I may, I would like to go back to the video that you showed with the man saying that the woman wants more. Like they want more once they get together. You showed a video clip,
That
and it was
today
talking.
was at the last video. I mean,
It
the
was
last live. It was today.
yes, and it was about a lady, a man talking to a woman, and he said something about women want more. Like after they get married, they want children, and
Oh,
they want
okay. Yes.
video
Okay.
right there.
Well, I'll
Yeah,
replay that. Give me just a
yeah,
moment.
because I want to kind of see that one again,
Yes,
and that's
ma'am.
the one I want to talk about. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know this before, but that men feel like women are like inherently ungrateful.
True story. And I don't believe that women do it on purpose. I believe it's embedded in their DNA and their makeup. And this is why you hear most women say, I'll never settle. You will never hear a man say he will or he won't settle. But you hear women say, because once you give a woman something, she always want more. Is there more? Can I have more? Once you start talking to a woman, taking her out on dates, what are we? She wants more. She wants a relationship. 2, 3 years down the line, where's my ring? She wants marriage. 2, 3 years of marriage, where's my baby? She always want more, and this is why most relationships and or marriages don't work. Because once you get to marriage, and some people don't even get that far, there's no more to want. So then they're going to break up with you, relationship, or they're going to divorce you, marriage, because there's no more to get, and go start over with somebody else and start getting more from them. Ungrateful.
And I didn't know this before, but that men feel like women are like
All right, Miss Yo, did that assist in any way?
It did, yes. First of all, I like to say on that video, I want to say men and women both want more. It's not a one-sided thing. Everybody wants more in a relationship. Everybody wants more or better for their life, right? A man wants more when it comes to his job's position. He wants more when it comes to being able to take care of his family, so he wants more money. His more is just different than the woman's more, which means she may want the child or she may want something more in that way. Okay, so that's one thing that I wanted to point out about that video. So they both really want more. It's just and women verbalize it more than men do. Men are more internal. They don't speak as much. Some men, most men, right? But it don't mean that they don't want more of something to make their lives better as well as the female. So that's one thing I want to say. And if you think about it, women are taught to want more as children. Girls or women, when they little girls, they dress up. They have to have on their dress, the earrings, the makeup, the eyelashes, that to make their appearance look good. For them, they don't think it's more. They think that that's better in how they look. A man will put on a suit, a tie, and a hat. He's gone. So it's not inherently in them. It's just something that they do, like a practice that was taught to them as
Right.
little princes. They need the little scepter. They need the crown. They need all of this to think that they look better. So they feel like they have more in their appearance. And a man, even though he looks just as good as the princess, with his suit and tie, that's still his more. He's more simplistic. So men are they want less. They don't want less, but they are more simple. They're more simple than when it comes to the women. So that's what I wanted to say on that video.
Now, I just to give you some feedback on that, I appreciate. I say you always simplify it for me because I said I don't feel like it's inherent. Inherent. I don't think it's like something that is in that we're born with. But you clarified it. And you said that's something that we are taught.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
I
I
agree.
just wanted to bring that to
Yeah,
clarity.
just to clarify then once again, he did say that it's in women's DNA.
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe that it's a social characteristic that's been learned over time
Yes.
because previously women have been very happy with what they had.
Yes.
It's a social thing that's come about through materialism, again, through things like feminism.
I agree.
And not to take over, but can we do this one now, Mr. Kimmy? Can we please go to the video with the young women that were dressed or half dressed?
Yes.
So we can discuss, because the only reason why I'm doing this is to refresh in everybody's memory, including mine's, as to why we're where we are now in this topic.
Absolutely. Okay, give me just a moment.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Sure.
What's your age?
Oh, God, these.
26.
26.
Has dating gotten easier as you grown older?
Depends.
Well, why do you feel that way?
I think because as you get older, you start to know what you want or what you're looking for, as opposed to when you're young, you kind of just date whoever.
You feel like you have higher standards?
Yeah, I think it comes with age.
And what does it depend on for you?
Well, I agree with everything that you said, but yeah, just in general, I feel like people are not ready for commitment and to put in the work, so it's harder to find like someone that's genuine.
And that's been your experience most of the time.
100%.
So the guys that you feel are never ready to commit to you? Are these men that you already sleep with?
I'm not talking to anyone. I'm done.
But the ones in the past,
What about them?
have you slept with them before?
Yeah.
Do you think that that played a part in why they didn't commit to you?
I don't know. I don't think that that should play a part in it.
But why would a man give you the benefits of the relationship if he's already experienced everything that you have to offer?
Because he wants to be with me, genuinely.
Would you rather date a woman who was fit and slim?
Okay. All right, Miss Yo. I think that's the end of that section.
Okay, on that one, I just want to say the young lady, she said she was 26 years old, right? First of all, she's just a year shy, well, just 1 year completely. Her brain don't develop until after you're 25 years old when it's completely and fully developed. It's after 25. So she just turned 26 years old. He also asked her a question about the men that she's been with. And she said that they didn't want to commit, even though she slept with them. Well, what she's failing to realize is once they conquer her, because men are conquerors, they're hunters, and once they get what they have prayed for, and the prey or what they hunted, then without any, they don't usually want to commit to them. And then she have to look at what she's wearing. That man is mostly thinking that if I got it, and if I call you mine, you would give it to someone else. So that's one of the reasons why men will not commit to women that dress in that way or carry themselves in that way. That's what she's failing to realize as well. So people keep saying that, people may say, well, you shouldn't judge a person, you should get to know them first. But the first thing a person sees when they see you is your exterior. They don't see they don't see the inside. You don't have to say a word. They judge you by the outside. So you have to be attractive for them to want to get into you. And so, but these women these days think that sex sells. So this is their sign that they're putting up, the sex, because sex is everywhere. So that's why they're dressed this way, because they think that it sells, and that's how they can attract people, men to them. But anyway, that's another thing. But y'all understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And it's normalized. It's
So,
socially accepted overall.
can we try and attack the root cause of this then?
Pardon me? Say that again.
Can we try and find out the root cause of this? What do you believe causes this?
The root cause of that is it's the upbringing. It's the men in their life. The masculine energy is missing from those little girls' lives. They didn't have the masculine energy, so they're out searching for that masculine energy they didn't get at home from the fathers or a father figure. That's why you see what you see today. Yeah.
But I again think that we have a very femme-centric society. So society seems to be a lot more concerned about the feelings of women rather than the reality of how it's actually affecting them. I think that this is part of the problem with women being so heavily involved in things like politics. I think it's a lot harder for women to look at things objectively, and instead they look at things through a more personal lens, which is obviously, a characteristic that I think differentiates between men and women. Men tend to look at things a lot more objectively and logically, and women will look at things through a more caring, sympathetic lens.
Emotional.
And in turn, we can make a lot worse decisions because it sounds good on paper, but in action, it tends to cause a lot of harm. And I'd like to know your thoughts on that.
Miss Yo?
Okay. Well, yeah, women do tend to look at things through emotional. We are emotional people, but we do have reason as well. So men and women are different, no doubt about it, and we do think differently. Nevertheless, we still are. I feel, we're objective enough to make sound decisions, though. And if you think about this, but most people do not. Behind every man, there is a good woman. You heard that saying?
Of course.
Okay, so think about this. This world is basically ran on women. The
Mhm.
men are in the forefront as the
Yep.
so-called leaders, but that pillow talk at night, it's the woman talking to the man. The woman is giving the men ideas. The woman is the one that's telling the men how to run this world. Let me tell
No.
you why I said. I'm going to tell you why I said this. Most of the wars, and you let's go back because we're not going to talk about the Bible, but if you want to use that as a stand, if you look at all the wars and all the problems in the Bible, these men had women.
Mhm.
Samson and Delilah, for example. Samson and Delilah. You see, if you know the story about them, he was
Mhm.
told, not to mess with that woman, not to go to the Philistines. He went anyway. See how? Just think about the different things in the Bible and how wars get started. All right, behind most wars, there's a woman there
Mhm.
in history. If you know anything about history, you know what I'm. Just think about it. So what I'm saying
Okay,
to
so
you,
are you saying it's a good thing then that we've had women involved that have caused wars? Is that the point that you're making?
no, I'm not. The point that
Okay,
I'm making is women do make decisions.
that caused
Whether the
wars.
whether decisions be no, I'm saying they speak with their husbands, the ones that are in charge. The men are the ones that are leaders. Their ego is the ones that take it off to another level. You understand what I'm saying?
No, it sounds like you're moving the accountability.
No, 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 no. You have to understand what I'm saying. What I'm basically saying is, you were saying that women are emotional, and you were saying that we couldn't make the sound decisions. That's
No,
what you were saying. That's what
no.
I understood you to say.
So,
Well,
so
correct
I'm
me.
saying, as a whole, generally, I'm not saying that there aren't exceptional women that can look at things 100% rationally, but as we've just seen, as a whole, this generation of women do not look at things objectively at all. They only look at things through their own personal lens. This is the next generation of women that are going to be in politics, which is a very,
Mm,
very dangerous thing to have these particular women in politics because they're self absorbed, self interested, and have absolutely no interest in the affairs for men whatsoever. Whereas
mm,
men, like you said, if men are the ones who enforce all of the things that women have in this world, realistically, then and men could take that away at any point. Men realistically have been benevolent this whole time. We haven't been bad people. We've been very benevolent. Benevolent.
Well, I can agree with you now because I must have understood you then. But what you're saying now, yeah, this generation of women, yeah, it's totally different. It's a totally different climate.
Yeah,
I
they
agree
are a
with you.
threat to politics in future.
Well, and I think some of the men are too. Some of the generation of men, the same generation of men and women, they are equally at fault as the way they are carrying themselves and as the way they are training up their children. Yeah. So I would say both ways. It's both ways. Yeah.
Okay, but I would still hold men more accountable because
Hmm.
men have allowed this to happen. Men
Hmm.
originally had all of the power, and they have allowed this system to rise up and allowed women into these positions of power to further these negative feminist agendas.
That's exactly what it's been. It's been an agenda, and it's been systematic, and it's been allowed by the men because the men were the ones that were originally in control.
Yes,
And
I'll
so,
totally take
yeah,
accountability there. Yep, it is
yeah.
men's fault. But in saying that, do you not think then it's up to men to take the power back and restore things to the way that they used to be?
Well, I
Yeah,
think
but
that that's. Oh, go ahead,
sorry.
Michelle. No,
No, I
go
want
ahead.
to say, just I'm gonna tell you why I still say the women are in the men's ear. This is a different generation. The generation of women back in the day when the women were coming up and the way we were raised, our generation back in the 60s and the 70s, that generation was a total generation, totally different from the one that we have now. A total different type of woman. We were totally different. And we had those husbands, those men that were in power, so they still had pillow talk with those women, the man and the woman, with discussions about how the country is going. Do not think for one moment that the men did not listen to some of the input that these wives were speaking about when they came to make some of these laws,
I'm not,
rules, and things. No,
I'm not
I know
for a
you're not saying
second denying that they wouldn't listen to their input, but you
right,
can't
but that's
say
why
for certain that it had any sway.
I can, and you cannot say for certain it didn't, but I'm trying to tell you it did.
That's not the point that I'm making.
No, no, I understand that, but this is the point that I'm making. Now I'm also going up to right now in the 20th century. You know, we go up in the 2024 in the different types of women with men now, and look at what's going on now. I think both people, both male and female, in the generation of time, are both to blame for what is going on in our country today. That's my point. Okay, and I yield the floor. Just saying,
Great point.
baby.
Yeah, great points. No, no, I agree with some of what you're saying, just not all of it. I think
Listen,
that it is solely up to men to restore things to the way that they used to be, and in turn, then that would restore the nuclear family, which is the bedrock of civilization, the one thing that we need to restore. And to do that, we need women to return to their more maternal state, which
facts.
is kind of outside of work. Work is kind of one of those things that is really new to the world. Is women working full time? You know,
Yes.
our birth rates are in the fucking pits, guys. That's one of the things that we really need to sort out as soon as possible. Otherwise, in future, our children are going to have to be looking after, 10 elderly people for each one young person, which is civilization collapse. So I'd love to know what your thoughts are on how we could resolve this outside of men taking the power back, if you don't believe that that is a sound resolution.
Well, if I could speak on that. So, one of the things that I always focus on and that I always want to and intentionally include into whatever topics I bring up is not just presenting the problems, but the possible solutions as well.
Hmm.
With saying that, the, there's another viewpoint that I reemphasize no matter what my topic is for that particular video or that live, and that's cohesiveness of the core family and reestablishing people's established in their appropriate roles in the family. I believe in sitting in my femininity. I believe
Beautiful.
that if I did not have to work, that I would choose not to, right? That I would be at home
Beautiful.
rearing the children
Honorable.
maintaining the home. But currently, that is not the world that we are living in. You have a lot of, okay, so the system now, when you speak on, and we're going to get to the solution or the possible solutions individually and collectively in a moment. But I do want to take the moment just to kind of bring more context to what you're saying, as far as men taking back their leadership roles, right? So we have different, right now we're fighting so many different wars, and the biggest one right now is a spiritual war. But then it comes with us kind of being collateral damage in the level of hierarchy, and this is just my opinion. So I say that because you have a very few, when you're talking about fleshly humans, you're speaking on a very small percentage that has been systematically orchestrating the direction of our culture. So you have men that are becoming effeminate. It could be from environmental foods, it could be the air, the water, being raised in primarily single parent mother ran households because the fathers aren't present. And I'm just speaking generally. I'm not speaking, as for everyone, right? So there are many, my point being is there are many different factors as to why we ended up in the situation that we ended up here. And as far as blaming, like, I think it's been established that we can both all agree on that both the male and the female, the man and the woman, the father and the mother, the husband and the wife roles prospectively can be hold their own level of accountabilities and contribution to the dissemination of the core family. With that being said, we are here, right? And so when you have the world in the state that it's in and so many different mechanisms that are working against because that's where the strength is. The strength is in the community, is in the family, it's in the core unit, it's in cohesiveness, it's in the proper order of things when it comes to the family and the familial hierarchy, and the natural order of things as God orchestrated it originally. And we've gotten so far from it that everything is just sheer chaos at this point. So when it talks about, when you speak on men reclaiming their right to be in leadership roles, and I definitely agree with some of the topics that have been spoken on you and Michelle thoughts, but I think it's so much more complex than that, and it's multi-layered, as of course as we keep saying, right? But to bring perspective on it, it has to start in the home, right? And it has to start at the bottom and filter to the top. And because it's been out of order and it's been coming from the top to the bottom, that's why we have men that don't know what it is to be alpha, to make decisions for the household. We have sons that are being raised by working mothers because a lot of fathers are choosing to be absent, or that are incapable of providing and leading the family and the household. And so we can sit and play the blame game, or we can allocate accountability. Either way it goes, but at the end of the day, we are where we are, and where do we go from here, and what sounds feasible on a small scale so we can grasp it and then let it mechanically grow to where it can affect, more than just the core family and each individual household. I know I said a lot, but it was on my heart to say. Hopefully it wasn't too much for you to give feedback.
You did say
No,
though that you were going to tackle solutions, and you didn't. You didn't
I got
propose
the
one. So
solution. Let me get it with you. Here go the solution. First of all, we need to learn how to take time to pick mates, to pick your partner, male and female.
That, yes.
That starts off number one.
how do you do that?
You don't just jump into bed with everything that looks good to you. You take
Okay,
time
but
to.
that's teaching morals. That's not teaching someone to pick a
But
partner.
I'm not finished. I'm not finished. Just bear with me. Let me get there. Okay. We're building the stage. I'm telling you, this is how we go. This is how you do it.
Adding
Okay.
flair, pizzazz.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a writer too. Okay. So let's build it up. Okay. First off, what we do is we need to be careful and pick our partners. Pick out carefully who we want to start a family with. Okay. So, and once we do pick that person that we're looking for, whatever your morals and your standards are, the way you were raised, what you want, what you're expected for a mate, once you meet that person, the thing that you do is you two sit down before any type of sexual intercourse, anything, and write out a contract, because relationships, partnerships are business arrangements.
No.
So you won't be so you don't be all thrown off when the things start changing in the relationship. You have a contract with one another of what you expect out of a relationship. That's what you start off doing first. You're saying no, but this is what you should do in order for a relationship to build and to grow. I've been married for 43 years, just so you know. But anyway, you start off with a contract. Then, if you are doing a relationship, if y'all want to tweak the contract, then the two of you sit down and then retweak it. Because when you get married, the first thing they give you is a marriage certificate saying that you are bound with each other for sickness or health, better or worse. That's a
Yeah, but
contract that they
you can
give
break
you.
that contract easier than you can break a phone contract.
Pardon me? Say that
You
again.
can break that marriage contract easier than you can break a phone contract.
But I'm saying my point is making a contract with a partner is so that both people will be on the same accord, the same page, and trying to reach the same goal. Because again, it's a business.
I don't
It's a
think it
business.
is. I think it's a contract between your partner, and God. I think there should be a separation
It's
between.
still a, it's still a contract between the two people. That's my point.
Yeah,
The
but
two people.
my point is the government shouldn't be involved in it. I think it should
I
be a
understand
contract
what you're
between you and
saying.
the church.
I'm talking about the way it is now. I'm talking about the way it is now. When you get married and anywhere in the States, you're gonna get a marriage certificate. I'm talking about what's happening right now.
But
But
we
I'm
are
saying
talking about
to get them
solutions. So we're
right,
not talking about the is, we're talking about the ought. What ought we do rather than what is?
and I'm telling you what ought we do and
You're
what
telling me
ought.
what is?
No,
No.
but you're not agreeing with her. So she's telling you what she feels we ought to do. She said to vet and to pick your partner, to sit down and align yourselves and make sure that it's past the surface and that you have an understanding that and the way to do that is through the business arrangement. But you kept shaking your head and saying no, but she's actually giving you her viewpoint on what she feels ought to be done and what she feels a solution, a possible
So
solution would be
what's the
to what it
process then of
currently
teaching
is.
people?
Okay, well, since you have a lot of questions about solution, then maybe you should give us what you think the solution should be. Since you seem opinionated and you seem very certain in your stance, so I'm interested to hear what actually your viewpoint is
Yeah,
on the
I
question
wouldn't
that
say I'm certain
I
in my viewpoint. I'm here, especially because this is with women, to kind of talk this through and kind of, chat it out and see where we all kind of land and see if we can come to some form of common ground.
Mhm,
And I think so far we have found some common ground.
mhm.
So again, mine would be through in the moving forward with bringing Christianity to the forefront, making Christian ideals and a moral foundation of how the country is formed and built. I would keep all separation of marriage into the church and ensure that it is far harder to get out of, rather than just, I don't feel sexy anymore, so I'm going to go and find a new man. Instead, you would have to sit down with your church pastor and work through the issues, and it would only be under serious cases like infidelity or, really extreme cases where it would be acceptable. And then in that, you would also have a far tighter community, as everyone would be highly involved in the church. There would be a lot more shame. And I believe shame is a very important thing that we don't have anymore. No one is shamed for their actions. So bringing everyone into a tighter Christian community, I think, would allow for a lot more moral values to be spread. And you were talking about doing this from the ground up. I think that would be the fastest way to do that from the ground up. As children are raised in nuclear families, they understand the morals of that. They are surrounded by people in moral Christian nuclear families, and they will go on to do the same. One of the things that's happening at the moment is the people with the wrong ideals, fortunately and unfortunately, because of the birth rates, aren't having children replace them. So I believe that this problem that we are dealing with the feminized men and what have you, is going to come to an end, because generally you take on the political ideals and ideologies of your parents. So without these people having children, I believe this problem will come to an end over the next, say, 50, 60 years. So that
Okay.
would be my solution, is kind of wait. But in the meantime, we should be pushing for Christian ideals to come to the forefront, because it seems to be the only moral structure that we have that most people can agree on, rather than looking at the exceptions.
Now I go
Oh, I'm
ahead,
sorry. I
Michelle.
disagree with that. I disagree because when it comes to the everybody have different belief systems, and then if you think about Christianity, most of the wars started underneath the Christianity stuff, so there was already conflict there. So to
Okay,
go back
no,
to
it didn't.
something, let me just finish. Can I finish? I allowed you to speak. I just wanted to say what I'm thinking. Okay, not to be rude, but I'm basically saying if you look at the generation now, most of these children do not go to church. They don't go to church. And so what we're going to do, are we going to try to force them back into like the churches and make that a mandatory thing for people to do? Because everybody have their free will. We're not living underneath a communist era. Everybody is a free will. This is a free will country, pretty much. So I think that there will be a lot of rebellion if if they were to go back to something such as that. And again, when I was speaking earlier and I was talking about people, meeting your partner, Miss Kimi, she summed it up pretty much what I was saying with the contract. Um, Basically, my whole point is you won't have a world that's so discombobulated if you have the nuclear family under cohesiveness with the fathers and mothers in place. And as far as that working for moms, yeah, I think it's very important for the mothers to be at home with the children. And I think it's important for the mothers to teach the children life skills, survivor skills, how to make it, how to hunt, how to grow your food, how to can and store your food. Let the man go out and do the work part of it. That and the mama need to be the nurturer for that child until they're old enough to be able to go off on their own to do what they need to do. That's my point. That's me right there. And it haven't went wrong for me, but anyway, be that as it may, everybody has a different perspective. But I do believe this. A lot of people are not. You got a lot of people that is going away from the Christianity.
Hmm.
They do. It just you can see it if you look around you see what's happening. Yeah, and
Yes, I
everybody
can.
have
So that's why I'm seeing it as one of the root causes of the issue and thinking that rather than moving further into secularism, we should start moving the other way and give people
I
a
think
moral
morals.
foundation
I
to
think
gain.
morals. Yeah, the morals of the morality of everything. I think. I don't think it has to be the label of Christianity or nothing like that, but the morals, because inside of you, it tells you what's right and wrong. You got a right and wrong inside of you. Your moral compass is what should guide you through this life. That's
Okay,
my
but everyone has a different moral compass, and that's why I'm saying we should have a
fact.
foundational one, which should be Christianity.
Which somebody that with the moral compass set up Christianity, they felt that Christianity was the moral compass, but that's not everybody individual thing.
Yeah,
Everybody is
we don't worry
different.
about. No, I understand, but
So
we also don't
we're
worry
not gonna
about
go. We're not gonna go with the
individually.
Bible and the Christianity stuff because that'll be a whole left
That is
topic.
definitely a whole nother
Yeah,
topic, and it's been presented as a possible solution. And there's a lot of people that are not, like she said. I don't know how that's going to work because you can't, not as is. You can't force everybody to embrace Christianity at this point, and
And I never mentioned force, but again, we can like we have like things like social media and all these things. We can just bring it to the forefront rather than bringing degeneracy to the forefront. Why aren't we teaching Christian values instead? Like it's so easily done. I don't understand. Like it's not a form of indoctrination to provide the other side. And at the moment, Christianity isn't being brought to the forefront. It's degeneracy instead, and that's why degeneracy is running rampant, and Christianity isn't.
yeah, well, I think it's both ways because Christianity too is running rapid. Look at the preachers that are caught with different things that's going on in society. So a lot of people have lost trust in Christianity because of the people that's delivering it, which are people that are human beings that are flawless. They have flaws like we do. So if you see what's going on with the preachers and the pastors and stuff in the churches today, that's a lot of reasons why people have strayed away from those particular settings of that Christianity. So I'm gonna yield the floor.
yes. Okay. So thank you. We got Miss Rachel Trust No One Santiago on the panel
Hello.
for coming up. And yes, go ahead. What do you have to add?
Blessings, Miss Akimi. Blessings, how you doing? And
All is
blessings, Sister Say.
well in
Blessings to you
yourself.
for your thoughts. Um, I came on here because I agree. I mean, I don't know how to put this. I agree with both you and Miss Akimi in your thoughts. I can't really agree with Leroy. Is that his name?
Yep.
Because listen, I don't have a religion. I believe in God, nothing more, nothing less. I don't believe in the Bible. I don't believe in any other stuff. I just believe in God. I walk with Him by me. That's it. Like
Okay.
so, the way you was putting it is kind of like, yo, what happens to us that don't believe in a religion?
I can explain if you'd like.
It kind of doesn't work and it doesn't make sense because
Yeah,
there's no way you
I'll,
can
I'll,
get
I'll
me to
explain then because
go.
obviously, sorry, I haven't been clear. I'm not saying that we force a religion on anyone at
No, no,
all.
no.
I'm
I get
just
it,
saying,
but it just makes no sense the way
yeah,
you
so
just
if you
put
let
it
me explain, I'll
because
try and make it make sense for you. I'm not saying that we enforce any sort of religion at all. I'm saying that we move the moral foundations of Christianity to the forefront rather than the degeneracy that we're seeing right now. So, secularism has brought us things like communism and egalitarianism, which have been shown to not work every single time. And the things that we're moving towards are those ideals again. Christian ideals have worked, are working, and are good things. So I don't understand why it wouldn't be an issue to just popularize them. I'm not saying in any way force this upon people. I'm saying to popularize it like it used to be. I don't understand why that would be a problem. Again,
But
it's
see,
like
that's
saying
just the
that
way
it's,
our
it's
opinion kind
on
of
the other hand,
works.
then I don't understand why it would be okay to put your ideals and degeneracy and secularism into the forefront of all the media, but it's not okay to do the opposite for Christians. That seems a bit double
See, that's the thing.
standardish.
Everybody's opinion matters. Like I hear what your thoughts are saying. I hear what Ms. Akimi is saying, and they're not trying to convert anybody. They're giving
Neither
advice,
am I.
and we take it. How we take the advice, however way it goes. Like it's up to us how we take somebody's advice. Like somebody's opinion is way different from advice, and where like your opinion is your opinion, my opinion is my opinion. I can't judge it. We all have different types of opinions, and I feel as though like when it comes to relationships your thoughts and Ms. Akimi is right. We need to learn how to love ourselves before we hop into these relationships, and that's a problem that we have. This is not something that's in our DNA. It's something that's been taught to us. Everything that we're doing, us onto our kids down, is something that we've learned. It's learned behavior. So this is something that we have to come together and figure a way out how to work it, because religion and division isn't working. It never has. It's made it worse.
Yeah, so unity is my idea then. So let's try going back to unity rather than division.
Okay, so let me just interject here for a second. Now, if we just to add some context to the conversation as well, the Bible, or no, let me retract that. God gave us free will, right? And so there, in my opinion, and we can agree to disagree respectfully, there is not a one size fits all. We are each individuals. Each one of us was made uniquely and specifically for God's purpose. And all of us are different. No two people, even twins, Siamese twins, are exactly alike. And so it doesn't, for me, it doesn't make sense in the scheme of things to outside. So let's just take, for the sake of argument, that Christianity has worked, right? Though it really has not. In history and where we are now, definitely to me has established that, because there, whether Christianity has had a major presence or it has not, it has it the faith or the basis of Christianity has not been successful in uniting us collectively as a whole, right? But going
Well,
back,
nothing has. Nothing has.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but to me,
But why would your
Christianity,
argument against it be that not the same as nothing has worked then? Like why would you be against my proposition if you don't have a proposition of your own that also works?
because of history.
Okay, but then we can look at all the secular nations that have ever existed. So we'll look at, Stalin, we'll look at communist and Mao's communism. They were all secular states and they killed millions of
Hey,
people.
Leroy.
Whereas that hasn't fallen under any Christian nation. There's been no Christian nation that's attacked its own people. If we look at Germany as well, Germany, secular state, look what happened there. Like Christian
It
nations
depends.
don't do that.
We going
Muslim
left.
nations also do these extreme things as well. This isn't a part of the Christian scheme.
But
Okay.
Leroy, I just want to say this real quick. You said your argument. You were saying, why is your argument? But what you have to understand is we're not having an argument. We're having a discussion, son. That's what I'm saying. So don't think that we're attacking your point of view. It's
Okay, sorry.
basically,
And instead of saying argument, I should have said position.
yeah, right, because we're not, it's, you're entitled to have your opinion in the way you think, in the way that you feel. So don't think that it's an attack for us to
No, no,
say,
not at all.
or
No,
say,
I'm not taking any
yeah,
of
I'm
this
just,
personally at all. No, no, this is
but,
just a discussion of
and,
ideas. We're just fighting it out,
right.
so to speak.
But we also, and not to take over Mr. Kimi's panel, but we also don't want to go left and to talk about what history is and all of this stuff when it comes to Christianity and all this. I personally, just simply agree to disagree with you. That's just that simple.
But
Now,
it's fair to say if you can draw conclusions, I can draw conclusions also. She drew conclusions there that Christianity hasn't done very much good, but I can draw
but
conclusions
that
that
was her
secularism
opinion, though.
hasn't done much good. I know, and yet, so what I'm saying is if you can provide evidence for that, I can provide evidence for the counter.
But we're not trying to do no evidence. We're not going and getting those forensic science together and do all of this. And it's not necessary. We're just having a simple discussion, and that is her view, her
Yeah,
opinion. You
I'm sorry.
did?
This is how I discuss things.
Well, we
Okay,
can.
so hold on a second.
I'm gonna put on
Let's just
pause.
reset for a second, if you don't mind. Okay, so the panel is I love the conversation, but the original
Thank you.
topic was discussing the ungrateful women, and somehow we're talking about Christianity. So, if you would like to maintain your position on the panel, then we need to rear the conversation back to the topic at hand and what the video has been titled as. This is not a Christian station, or just let me finish and let me land my plane, please. This is not the panel or the platform for that discussion, because like Miss Shield said, we are having a discussion, and we this is supposed to be productive. And I'm not saying I don't agree with everything that anybody says. We have to agree to disagree respectfully, and that's fine. I just don't want to go too far off of the topic of the video, of the original intended subject of the video, and that's something that's relatable to no matter who clicks on to this stream, right? And so sometimes people can be deterred because you don't have everybody following the same belief system or the same ideologies, and everybody's not going to agree with the same type of solutions that you're presenting or that I'm presenting. But to find some type of common ground, and just to say, okay, like, and I'm going to reiterate what I said, and I stand 10 toes down on my belief in this, is that we have to start at home. It starts within the core family, it starts with each individual. We have to conquer this issue before we can even start to delve into the what the masses need to do, because we can't even have cultural sectors believe in the same thing, or agree to disagree respectfully, or agree on certain topics that are prevalent, that would help us to restore what we're talking about. So much less to delve off into something so complex. And like I said, it's very controversial, and there's a lot of people that beside yourself that does not hold the same ideologies, belief systems, and perspective that you do. So I do want to kind of, so Rachel, we didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry if you felt that way. I would like to give you the floor. If you have something else to say.
No, you didn't cut me off. Listen, I'm listening, and like I was trying to tell him, that's like I think everybody's opinions matter. I'm somebody that loves listening to the podcasts, is because regardless of anything, I learn from everybody. You could say something, your thoughts could say something, Leroy could say something. All I could do is sit here and go on my computer and do my research. That's why I don't judge and I don't lock nobody down for their opinions or what they've learned or what they've heard or what conclusion they came up with. But talking on going back onto the subject that your thoughts and Miss Akimi was talking on, I feel as though they're right. But a lot of us females do hop into relationships the same way that men do, without seeing that we don't really love ourselves. How can we love somebody else if we haven't even taken care of ourselves yet? We're hopping in a relationship, and sometimes I wonder, like, why? Because this person is cute, because this person got money, or because we feel alone. I mean, so many ways I can go about it, but that's messing us up in a way. Like, if we want to go by religion, right? In the Bible, it says, no matter what Bible it is, we should have gotten married first, right? We should have did all this, but we're not doing none of it. So we have to teach our kids, regardless of anything, morals and respect. We have to teach them. And everybody is thinking that the celebrities got to do it. And we're going by the way the celebrities do things. We're going by the way we're told what to do. But in reality, when is it we want to be with somebody that we really care about? Somebody that's with us, somebody that we could see past, everything that they've been through and accept them for who they are. Because we're hopping onto these relationships without knowing that other person. I used to hear my old head say, "Look, listen, I married my best friend," and I used to be confused, and they used to try to break it down to me, but I was ignorant to the fact and I ignored. But it stood in the back of my head. Every time I bumped my head, I bumped a wall or I fell down and I had to pick myself up. Everything every old head said to me would come right back as a flashback. And it would make me sit here and think like, oh, so I had to hit my head to understand what you was talking about 10 years ago. It's not that I didn't care. I didn't understand. I didn't go through what they went through. So I couldn't picture what they was telling me until I actually experienced it or saw somebody that I cared about experience what they was talking about or somebody else has been through. So a lot of us is it like we're not paying attention. We just don't care. When people are woke, like I just said, they don't care. It's about unity. When are we going to come together? Because even listen, Jennifer Lewis says it the best. Like when it comes to all this, like when it comes not just to relationships, I'm not take you off topic real far, but she said a phrase: "Take away their funds before they take away our sons." And what are we doing? We're not paying attention. Everything is thrown in our face, and we're ignoring it. Our kids don't know what's going on, and what's crazy is a lot of them, I think, understand what's going on better than what we do. A lot of them know what's going on better than what we do. We think they don't know what's going on. We think these kids don't know about sex, about marriage, about relationships, but they're on these YouTube sites, on these websites, on all these things that apps. I don't know. I could keep going. Y'all get where I'm coming from on this. So I think it's time for us to let go a little bit of the old school, right? And twist it up with the new school and get with this generation and get them to understand their way. I hope people don't misunderstand me.
No,
And I
you
don't
were
know
clear.
why,
You were clear.
because we have to reach them. And I've noticed that a lot of people think that we're going to reach our kids by screaming, by acting off, by doing all this stupid shit. No, this is just cool to them. But people don't realize that we talk to them and a lot of them are listening. A lot of them are paying attention. This is something that I do on a daily. Listen, I'm a block captain. I became a block captain to help our kids, to help our community because I'm listening. I hear these kids every day come up to me like, yo, what can I do? My mom and my dad are arguing. I feel like the whole world is on me. We shouldn't be putting our burdens on these kids. I'm somebody that went through it. My mom put her whole world on my shoulders. My life when I was young wasn't my life. So I grew up saying I want to make a difference, and that's what I am doing. For 1 second, I got stuck because I lost people in my life and I didn't know, what to do. And I had so much money that I was like, okay, I rule the world. But it's not like that. We lose it. We lose money. We lose people we love. We lose people we care. And our kids don't really understand that pain because they haven't been through it unless they lose a father or a mother. So I mean, it goes deeper. That's why I'm saying, yo, Miss Akimi, and your thoughts is going somewhere with this because it's real deep. That's why I decided, like, I don't know, Miss Akimi knows, like, I decided to say here, my best way of helping is by poetry. I got tired of speaking. I sat here, I'm gonna put everything through poetry and let y'all stories be heard through poetry. And these kids, and they're listening, they're understanding. Like, I don't understand what is so hard about us sitting here and showing our kids how to cook, how to change the oil in a car, how to plant some food, how to do this. We could have fun in the same, like, we talking about we don't have time for nothing, but we do got time for that. We just don't look for it. Hold on, Ms. Akimi, I got somebody knocking on the door. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry.
Fine. Okay. So I'm the floor is open. We can give any final points or any developing thoughts. I'm open. Just keep it on
Yeah,
topic if possible.
I just want to say when everything that first of all, there's nothing new under the sun. I wanted Rachel to know
Right.
that she was talking about old school, new school. Listen, there's nothing new under the sun. Meaning um, people still act the same way. They still are the same. People don't change much. It's still the same. The blueprint is still the same. It's just that we have decided to sway away from the blueprint. If you go back to the old days, the old ways, that worked. That worked for a long time for a lot of people, right? And of course, you're supposed to incorporate the new things that's coming out with the technology and all this different stuff. There's nothing wrong with mixing some of the old with the new. Both have their benefits. We just need to know how to have that happy balance and medium. We basically need to know in a nutshell that you just don't jump into relationships. You're supposed to take your time when it comes to relationships, men and women. Carry yourself the way you want people to represent yourself. You have a moral compass inside of you. I'm not talking about church or none of that. That voice inside of you, that God in you will speak to you and tell you what is right and what is wrong. If you pay attention to that by meditating, by sitting, by getting into yourself and listening to what your spirit, your God and you have to say to you, you will not be turned to the wrong way. You will go the right way every time. Do not listen to your outer man. You have to listen to your inner man, and you won't go wrong. Period. Now, I can tell you that. That's what I got for y'all on that one. I'm going on mute.
Leroy?
Is this closing statements?
Yeah, I guess so. Or unless you have something else that you want to discuss on a continuum basis. I mean, I'm going off the flow and the energy of the panel.
Okay. Well, there are some other things I'd like to talk through and try and get the opinions of women. Um, I saw that Kat raised an interesting thing there. You brought it up there about birth control and OnlyFans. I'd actually kind of like to focus on birth control. Um, More stats are coming out and seeing that it's actually affecting women in very negative ways, including affecting who they're attracted to and even making them find more effeminate men far more attractive than actually masculine men. What are your thoughts on this, and how do you think we should address this going forward?
Well, my thoughts, I'll start, is I'm with you. I think anything that is not from the earth and of the earth is potentially manipulated and detrimental ultimately to our temples, because God provided us with everything that our bodies needed in order to sustain itself and to stay healthy. And we live in a capitalistic society where it's all about the money, and the people that have the most money and the most power in this world, they control everything, including the narrative, what we eat, how we move, what we're exposed to, so on and so forth. So personally, I feel like birth control obstructs and impedes God's natural order of things, and I think that also filters down into irresponsible sex, right? People getting together just because to satisfy the flesh as opposed to procreate, and look at the long term and the long game and the outcome of the vision that we were put here in order to procreate for. So that's my viewpoint on it. As far as a solution, again, my answer is going to, because I can't speak for other people, and I can't speak on a collective level because we have small communities that can't seem to agree on important topics that could promote growth and healing, right? So I can only speak for things that I have control over, but for like my legacy and the upbringing of my children, I instill in them to utilize sex responsibly and provide them with the education of what sex was originally designed for, and how to be emotionally intelligent and make strong decisions regarding that, because it will commandeer the direction of your life one way or the other.
And let me jump in real quick. If a woman, this birth control stuff, you don't have to take birth controls. We talking about when we're talking about the old ways and the old days and the old and mixing the old with the new. If women knew about the moon cycle and their bodies, they'll know that their body was set up on the moon cycle. And if they knew that they had that menstrual cycle with the moon, that's why you need to know who you are, ladies. You don't have to have birth control pills if you know the moon cycle. You'll know when it's the time to have sex. You'll know when it's time for your menstrual cycle. You'll know when you're going to get pregnant. You'll know all these things if you knew about the moon. There's a lot of things that you need to know. But one thing you need to know is do not take them birth control pills. Do not take anything that's contaminate your body, because your body is naturally designed to have children. and make
Yeah.
sure that you're set up with the mate that you want before you decide, and you both decide on y'all having babies. It's not a one person decide I want a baby because I'm almost 40. It's not you. It has to be both people. So you need to, again, that contract with your partner or mate. You need to have that together, and y'all can decide together whether you want to have children or not. But again, I would not take those birth control pills. And as far as the OnlyFans, if you want to have if you stay away from all those porn sites and stuff like that. If you're into a partner, they should be able to satisfy you in every way with communication, and everything that you do sexually need to be private in your homes, and that's not taken out to everybody in this world. It's just before the two of you. So just dig on that. I'm
Okay,
pausing.
I would I'd love to know then, would you ban both porn and the birth control pill? Would you ban them?
I wouldn't ban anything because guess what? I would speak to people. It would be between me and my. I wouldn't have to ban it. It would be a discussion between the person that I'm with. What I would do. So I wouldn't have to go out and protest to ban nothing. That wouldn't have anything to do with me.
Yes, but
That would
unfortunately, not you've already stated that not everyone has, the knowledge and intelligence level to use these things wisely. So by not banning them, then they're out there to do detrimental harm. You said you wouldn't ban anything. I'm sure you would ban fentanyl. You know what I mean?
What I'm saying is, I wouldn't go out protesting with a sign to ban anything about birth controls and all that. I would not do all of that. I would teach my people what I know about the moon cycles, and they already know what they already have that knowledge and power. And just like they would, and you said that, that other people don't have the knowledge, but then that's up to you because your Bible, now getting back to religion, is the first thing you're supposed to do is to know thyself. That means knowing thyself into
But we've
totality.
also we've discussed many times that people don't really have accountability. So you're kind of leaving this in the hands of people that don't really take any accountability for their own actions,
I'm not
which
leaving
isn't
it to nothing. I'm not leaving it to nothing. I'm leaving it to. I'm putting it on the table as a way of a different alternative other than using birth controls or anything. Is if you knew yourself as a woman or a man, you would know when you can have babies. You would know your body. You would need that stuff. That's what I'm
okay.
doing. That's all I'm doing, and that's all I'm saying.
So
I
moving
can
on from the
back
birth
off of
control.
that because that birth control ain't no joke. Like I was 16 years old when they put me on that birth control, and because I had an irregular period and stuff like that, I had problems with my, you know, if you're a woman, you understand where I'm coming from. I would
Yeah,
only get it
I've read
twice a
about it
year.
a lot. I understand.
So they gave me that, and when I got with my baby pops, I was pregnant. I didn't think I could get pregnant because I wasn't supposed to get pregnant, but
Blessing.
um, I was 16 going on 17. I was my firstborn wasn't planned, and it made it hard on my life. So me thinking I could just go on with a normal life, I'm saying here I'm taking birth controls, thinking okay, I'm not going to get pregnant. It's supposed to avoid it. I had to learn, like your thoughts said. I had to learn about my cycle, about everything, and I didn't figure out about my cycle until after I had my last child, which was my daughter. I didn't figure out, that it was 7 days before, 7 days after. I didn't figure out that I had to keep a little count. I didn't know none of that because it wasn't taught to me. So even though I went to I had sex class. No, wrong side of the room. Go that way. Not conversation for you. Go, go,
Got
go,
nice
go, go,
hair.
go. Thank you. Even though we went to them, I had them classes when I was in school. My mom was against it, but they still gave them. She didn't want me to have them. She said, I teach my own kids. And she fought it against for me to be out of them classes. It took them 2 years for me for them to take me out of them classes. For them to say, oh, the parent doesn't want this child, da 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 da. Because she didn't have a religion. So if you didn't have a religion, you couldn't, do certain things, I guess,
Based.
whatever.
Based.
So I didn't know how that goes, and I didn't understand it. Maybe somebody that's older than me, that knows about that stuff could break it down because I really don't still understand what the religion part has to do with that.
So,
But
Rachel, can I ask? So, from your experience, would you say that it would be better that we didn't have birth control and instead had education?
I think education is better, like your thoughts said, because y'all both saying the same thing right there. I don't
So do you
think
not
we
think
should
it's better
take
to get
these.
rid of it then, knowing that there are detrimental effects?
The problem is going to be how you gonna get rid of this.
Just an outright ban.
You still got the underground.
Yeah, but that's the same with drugs. You know what I mean? It's about reducing harm and accessibility. So not banning it means that it's accessible to more people. If we ban it, at least if it goes underground, it's still not as accessible to as many people. Therefore, reducing harm.
Listen, baby, back in the day, women didn't need birth control pills. There were
Yep.
special women. There were special women that knew how to get rid of babies with just their finger
Huh?
and
Wait.
clothes hanging. So
Yep.
ban it or no ban, and not to say it was right, but that's what they did back in the day. They would
Oh, wow.
drop babies. Call it dropping babies.
Again, that doesn't negotiate the point that I'm making, because I'm saying if we ban it, at least that will reduce the amount of harm rather than like always. There's always going to be an underground market for everything. But if we make it legal, that's an incentivization. If we make it illegal, then it's decentivized and less people will do it.
If we educate ourselves and know our bodies, we won't need none of that. If you
That's
knew
the
the
point that
power,
I'm making.
well, that's
I
what
agree
I'm
with you.
saying. Yeah, that's all we have to do is
Y'all both got
educate
the
our.
same opinion, just different perspectives. It's the crazy
Yeah,
thing.
that's
Y'all
it.
both,
That's,
yeah, y'all got both the same opinion, different
that's it.
perspectives.
Yeah.
So
So
that's why I'm over here like I'm stuck between the both of y'all. I can't make a decision.
would it be wiser then to ban it? That's the point I'd like to get to. Would there be more wisdom in banning it to reduce harm, or should we let it run wild as it is and let the problems just continue to generate?
Well, I feel like you can ban anything, but people are going to find alternatives. Where there's a
Yes,
will, there's a way, right?
but
So
we're still going to
that
reduce
that's
harm
the
by
point.
banning it in the meantime.
That is a subjective question that you're going to get a subjective answer on if it's going to hit any topics or key points, because
Well, it's down
like
to
I
availability.
the will, where there's a will, there's a way. So in that aspect, if you want a technical answer to your question, yes, it may reduce it. But then again, when you did not have birth control, you had birth control. So whether it was with like she said, hangers, fingers, you take something that causes
That's
the
not birth
uterus
control. That's
system to
abortion.
go.
That's a completely different thing.
Okay, but it prevents life from being born, which is the same as birth control. It's just a different method, and that's just my take on that. So we can be technical and give everything a
Yeah.
name, and that's fine, but the outcome is still the same. So whether it's abortion, whether it's preventing pregnancy and
You know
destroying
what
the
makes
female's
Well, if
reproductive
they're the same
systems
thing,
and the
are you opposed to
organs.
both abortion and the pill
First of
then?
all, hold up a second. Now, when you're able to speak, you're able to land your plane. So all I'm asking, I don't have a lot of criteria from my panel. I mean, I understand, you're convicted and you feel fiery about your opinion and your
I'm
belief
very.
system. Well, if you're over talking people, there seems to be a lack of some type of self control, and I'm assuming that that's because you're passionate about the topic and what you're saying. So that's where I'm coming from with that. But my point being, since I'm not here to do wordplay, I'm just saying that if someone's speaking, can we allow them to land their plane before responding? That's all I'm saying. So my response to that again, whether it's abortion, whether it's birth control that prevents pregnancy, and it's not a secret that it does destroy the reproductive organs over long-term use. It disturbs the natural order of a woman's system, her reproductive system, and it filters into other areas of damage and promotes other damage in other areas of the body. So the same outcome. But to answer your question that you asked earlier, it could be a partial solution. But when people are out here having sex irresponsibly and they don't have a moral compass when it comes to sex, and they're doing it being ran and motivated by the flesh, then the problem is still going to exist. They're going to have unwanted pregnancies. So whether it's birth control or whether it's abortion or whether it's whatever else other options are out there, then the outcome will still and the result will still be the same. And I yield the floor.
That's a fact. That's what I was gonna ask. I'm like, wouldn't us talking to our kids and talking to people would it be kind of like a way of like see y'all talking like with your thoughts and Leroy talking, and I'm listening, and I'm like, y'all saying the same thing because if you go by what Miss Your Thoughts is saying,
I
you're going
agree.
to end up doing what Leroy is saying. You got to
Mhm.
take that first step to get to where Leroy wants to get to. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm tripping, but I'm really listening.
No,
But
you're right. You're right
Yeah.
on that.
I
At least
feel as
that's my
though,
understanding as well. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, so I'm like, I feel as though we would have to go to what your miss your thoughts is saying. I'm so sorry because I'm younger than you, and I gotta put the miss your thoughts in it. Um, and for it to work for what in
Take
order for what Leroy is saying to work to band all this, I feel as though we have to take the step that your thoughts is saying first. We have to get everybody united. We have to educate them. We have to get them to come together willingly.
Mhm.
Because if we do it forcibly, that we're going to have everybody divided, and then we're going to really crumble. Because then you're going to have people thinking like, listen, we're going against religion, but you're trying to tell us we're. Because then people are going to turn it all. You're going to try to make a cult, or you're trying to do this, or you're trying to do that, and I don't know. It's hard to break it down. Maybe somebody else that knows about the culture
You're
stuff
doing
in our
fine.
upbringing, because I'm just giving you out what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and what I'm learning.
So it seems like we all seem to have valid points toward a possible solution.
Yes.
I'm getting the same thing. I don't
But
think that there's a one size fits all. Go ahead, Leroy. I'm sorry.
I don't disagree with anyone here. All I was doing was trying to expand and ask you questions to further expand on the point. I wasn't trying to interject, but when you say something that we could expand on, I think it's worth expanding on in that moment rather than continuing down the same path and then it going nowhere. That's why I was interjecting.
So, what makes you qualified to set the tone for the panel as to if a person is speaking that they're going nowhere? Maybe that person that's speaking feels that they're, even if it doesn't, they don't seem to get to the point as fast as you think that they should. It doesn't mean that they don't have a valid point.
I'm not saying that the point wasn't valid in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, so maybe I need some clarity on what you are saying.
I was explaining why I interjected earlier to try and expand on the point. I was also stating then that I wasn't actually disagreeing with any of you, and I think that's what Rachel was saying, that we all agree. But I thought you were coming across like I was disagreeing with you when I was interjecting. I wasn't. I was trying to expand on the point that you were making by asking questions in that moment.
Okay, and so that justifies kind of cutting people off and making are you bringing validity to interrupting by doing
Well,
that?
in some cases, yeah, I would believe it is valid. Yeah.
Okay, well, you have a page, a YouTube page?
Not really, but yes, at the same time.
Okay, okay. So, how I do things here is that we show a mutual respect and courtesy, which you've done. You've done. And so when you did start to interject, I respectfully just said, one of the rules of the panel, or probably the only rule that I've stated on the panel, besides talking about Christianity, is just basically allow people to kind of get their thoughts out and land their plane before making a point. And so I don't think that that's unreasonable. First of all, it messes with the audio on the video for people that are replaying the video and going over, because it cuts out when people are over talking one another and it disrupts the flow. And then to me, it's just a matter of common decency and respect to allow somebody to finish their thought before, because you're going to have more than an opportunity to respond, and then you're going to get that same courtesy. I don't think that that's unreasonable to expect or ask.
Not at all, but I also don't think it's unreasonable to try and expand on someone's point while they're making the point.
Okay, well, that's your opinion, and that's fine.
Yep.
But in order to participate on this panel, I won't allow people to be interrupted before being able to actually land their plane and complete their thought.
If you say so, it's your panel.
Okay, thank you. So, Rachel, is there anything else? Because I'm pretty much, I've said all that I needed to say on this topic, unless you have something, Miss Yo, Leroy, if there's something pressing, we can go ahead and start wrapping this up.
Hey, and Leroy, I know you. Are you from London, aren't you? You're from the
No, I'm
UK?
actually from Belfast, Northern Ireland.
In Ireland. Okay, okay. I was just asking because I hear your accent, right? Yeah, and I know I've lived in over Europe, and I know that it's different when people are speaking there and when we're speaking here. You know, and you don't think that it's interrupting. You don't look at it as being interruption. You just, you guys are more, I want to say rude. Y'all have a more rude tone than we do over here in the United States. So that also could be probably what it seemed like or sound like. But anyway, get back to what you was talking about, Mr. Kima. I know we're getting ready to end this in your panel, in your channel, this live stream. But basically, if we really look at this whole thing when it comes down to uh, the male and the female, both of them want something from one another. And the ultimate goal is to have peace in a relationship. And some people would like to have a family, would like the little house, being able to live comfortably with the one that they love, right? So, with that in mind, before you jump into anything, and I'm speaking to everybody, it will behoove you to take just as much time as it takes for the woman when she goes shopping for a new dress, getting coupons and finding out what sales are, and she do all that investigation when it comes to the outfit she wants. She need to do the same thing with the man. And man or men, when you guys go and want to look for the new latest model car that's coming out, and y'all know how many miles it take and how fast it go, you just take just as much time uh, in discovering who your mate is going to be. That's what I like to say about that. And stop jumping in the beds, you single people. That, with just all straight people that come out with these babies and then not raising them the way that they should be raised. That's all I have to say about this. I wish peace to all of you guys. Peace, everybody. I enjoy speaking to you guys. All right. And love do come in the morning. Love is what
Yes.
you make. All right. So I'm
Mhm.
gonna leave y'all. Y'all have a good day. We'll be speaking soon. All right.
All right. Thank you for being with us, Miss Yo. Appreciate you and your contribution to the panel.
Yes.
Thank you for
Thank
spending
you.
time with us. Yes. Okay. Take care. And so I was reading the comments and I listening to Michelle, and I think she made a really good point. So if I came off a little strong without understanding and taking into account the cultural differences, because I did not, in my limited thinking, then I do apologize for the delivery. Maybe the point is still the same, but I do I stand corrected in that aspect if it's applicable, because my spirit is sweet.
Don't worry about it. It's
Yeah,
sorry.
it's all good, but it's just sometimes you get, especially when you start to disagree or you're not looking at things. But I like what Rachel had to say. It's like no matter who is speaking, we all, I think, want and have the desired same outcome. We want to better our culture. We want to put humanity back into its natural order of things. We want to make it stronger, and because it's been going awry and in existence for so long, I think it's way bigger than just one conversation with a few people. You know what I'm saying? Not minimizing the input, the ideologies, the ideas, any of that. I'm not minimizing any of that. I'm looking at it, and I can be transparent here, because a lot, like even with our children are, we have to, and Rachel said it, and I think it was very key, is and I might be saying it a little differently, but we have to gain some understanding between the older generations and the younger generations, because of the times that we are living in. They're changing at such an accelerated rate. And so the ideologies and the way that we are accustomed to solving problems or providing solutions for certain problems, in some cases, and maybe I would go to venture to say in a lot of cases, may or may not work for this younger generation. So we have to gain understanding and meet somewhere in the middle, and we have to be able to be willing to all make some type of concessions in order for the greater good of humanity, and to reestablish the strength of what is the most important, in my opinion, will always be the most important, and that's family.
That's a fact. Real fact. Mr. Kenny, I want to say thank you for letting me up. If you don't mind, can I read a poem for y'all before I hop down to the chat?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, this poem is called Mimic, and it goes very well with what you've been saying. And it goes like this: In the jungle, we roam wild and free, but our it. Let me start over. I'm sorry. In the
Take your
jungle, we
time.
roam.
Take your time, Rachel. Take your time. You're good.
This poem is called Mimic, right? And it goes like this: In the jungle, we roam wild and free, but our kids mimic what they see. Savage ways, they start to adapt. If we don't change, they'll meet a tragic end. Our actions speak louder than words, teaching them to be ruthless birds. If we don't check our moral compass soon, our kids will face a darkened moon. Let's break the cycle, set a new trend, guide our children till the very end. For if we fail to change our way, our kids will have a price to pay.
Ooh, that's good.
So
Yes.
I hope y'all enjoyed the poem and
Yes.
Miss
Thank you.
me like if you get a chance I'm gonna have a copy of my thing. Can I get your email? So I mean, your email so I can email you so I can send you a copy of my published poem book.
Yes, ma'am. If any of the moderators have my email, can you go ahead and put it in the chat? If not, I'll put it in there before the live ends,
Yeah.
Rachel.
So I
Okay.
got all my poems out on that, and I
Oh,
hope you enjoy it. And it's basically how I see the world, how how I hear everything around me, and I just put it into poems. On that book, they got inspired by a lot of YouTube creators. A lot of them poems in there was inspired by Miss 504. So shout out to her because it speaks a lot on the bond between a mother and a child. She spoke on her story and it hit me. So I have a lot of poems of a mother losing her child. Having so I want to give a big shout out to Miss 504 because she's one of the ones that inspired me to really start this poetry stuff.
amen. Yes.
Because
Shout
I
out
wanted
to
to
Miss 504. Go
let
ahead.
those out there that are speaking their truth know that there's people listening out here. And I'm one that, instead of bringing you down, I'm just going to put your story into poetic justice and let everybody that can relate to it, relate to it. So
Mhm.
basically, a lot of people's stories are in poems. Just people don't know who it is. And I did it like that because everybody can relate. Though y'all, the ones that are on here on social media expressing how they, their truth, speaking their truth, being bold and brave are inspiring a lot of people out there and they don't even know it. So those of you out there, y'all have inspired me to actually, bring out a piece of paper and pen and, put y'all stories into, rhymes or poems. So thank y'all so much for actually moving me and touching me in that way so that I could touch others. And this is my best way of helping everybody around me. And hopefully, I can open up a community center with the money I make with this. And that community center, I can make it go. If people know what I'm trying to do is to help our youth. I'm here, walking on these streets trying to help them and trying to make a change. And hopefully we will do this. So I'm right here with you, Mr. Kimi, and I'm glad that you got this podcast out here because we don't have a lot of positive podcasts like this where we can actually talk about things that are going on around the community. And when I started my podcast, that's what I wanted to do. And it's crazy. 4 years later, I'm bumping across all of y'all, and it took this long. But God does things for a reason. I've been
Yeah.
told it. I guess everything's falling into place when it comes to the missions that we're trying to do. It's 2024. They say, and it's time for exposure. So let's do this.
Amen.
Let's help
Amen.
our children. Like, there's so many ways we could do it. We got to stop making excuses.
Well, thank you so much for your contribution. I have put the email in the chat. Thank you for using and tapping into your creative juices to be able to share with those that need it the most. The poem was very nice. So thank you. And thank you for your presence on the panel, your contribution, your thoughts. And we appreciate you and welcome back anytime.
Same here. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care. Thank you. All right, Mr. Leroy, it's been a pleasure. It really has. You had me on my toes, which I like. It's always, thought provoking. I welcome it all the time because I was always taught that when you stop learning, that's when you begin to die. So I don't ever want to stop learning and stop opening myself and being open to other, people's perspectives, ideologies, just personal life experiences. So, yeah, it's been definitely a great panel and a great experience, and I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's exactly why I came to this panel. It seems very female orientated. So to try and get some pushback on my own ideals, it's
Mm-hmm.
best to come to the other side of the fence and see how you can push back.
Mm-hmm.
sorry if I did come a bit aggressive. I'm male, so it's just how we are. So we're just a bit different in our communication style.
Yes.
But I'm happy to come back again and push, not push, but say my thoughts and hopefully get some strong pushback, and we can see where we do agree and where we disagree, and hopefully work out some solutions between us.
Well, that's how progress and growth it happens, because
Yeah, that's what I'm here.
it happens in the chaos. It doesn't happen in the peace. We're
That's
typically.
exactly it. That's why
Mhm.
sometimes maybe a slightly disruptive panel is good.
Yeah, I'll take that into consideration. I'm up in age enough to where I'm kind of, there's some truth to people getting older and being set in their ways, though I'm mindful of it and I'm aware of it, and I'm always willing to change and make adjustments if it's for the greater good. So
That's it.
point well taken.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Ms. Kinney. I really appreciate it. I'll be back some other time, and I'm sure we can hash out some other ideas.
All right. Well, I appreciate you. You enjoy the rest of your day.
Same to you, my dear. Have a lovely day.
All right. You as well.
Bye.
Mhm. So, yes, well, welcome. And I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you. I think we covered a lot. I think sometimes real life happens where you intend on discussing one topic and then you end up, kind of going off and discussing whatever is needed at that time. And so, I, make no apologies. And hopefully there was some gems dropped that everybody can gain some information and some value from. That's the whole point of me doing what I do on a day-to-day basis, or whenever I go live, right? So even when I'm not live, I'm still working. Okay. So yes, with that being said, if you haven't hit that like button, please tap it on your way out. I think this stream is valuable enough and has enough information in it that if you just at least share it with one person that you think would gain some value from it, that would be highly appreciated. If all of your notifications are not turned on to all, or if you're not receiving notifications when I go live, please click it, and then, reactivate it, because my times are random. I'm trying to get more consistent, but the way my life is set up right now, I just get in where I fit in and where I can. And but I also am led by the spirit, so when I do go live, I want to make sure that I'm bringing value and that I'm bringing thought-provoking content and needed content, um, to you guys. And sometimes that just doesn't hit me every day. That's just my real life. So thank you to all of my moderators. I appreciate y'all holding it down. Thank you for the participation in the chat. Thank you for the great feedback and comments in the chat. I did receive a Cash App that I do want to definitely provide thanks for, and that is to Mr. Horgan. I won't give the first name, but you know who you are if you're listening. Thank you so much for the contribution. I appreciate it, to the panel and to the channel. And it doesn't go unnoticed and it doesn't go unappreciated. No matter how small, no matter how big, it all hits the same. So I appreciate everybody for being here. And until the next live, if you can, just drop a comment in the chat to kind of boost the I don't know if it boosts the algorithm or not, but I think having comments under the video, if you can just give me your feedback, any opinions that you may have, that may stimulate conversation in the comment section, that would be definitely a great help to my channel as well. So until I can go to posting every day and going live every day, if that's in the plan, then this would definitely also help as far as my numbers and algorithms. So, and spread the news far and wide, right? So I appreciate everybody. And oh, hold on a second. Let me see. Oh, okay. So my bad, Rachel. I don't get a lot of messages in the private chat, so I overlooked it, but we still got everything situated. So it's all good. And with that, everybody, I am pretty much done. I do have a small outro, and I hope everybody, enjoys the rest of their day. Peace and blessings to everybody. Much love to y'all. enjoy this Sunday. Tell somebody that you love them. Give them a hug. If you got children, say something kind to them. Reinforce their confidence, build their confidence. You know, sometimes even me, I'm guilty of giving directives and not balancing it out with positive reinforcement. And I'm working on that. But that's super, super important. And I realize it. So I just wanted to share that with everybody else. So, with that being said, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.